Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm here to film another episode of the engine build series. A bit early today, got the day off from work, kind of in the middle of moving, so stay tuned for that. But I got a package in from, I think it's called AccuraPartsOnline.com, and this is going to let me get the cams in the engine. So this is the most important part. Hope you can read the part number. This is the dowel pin for cam cap number 3. Here's the O-ring. This is just a VTEC solenoid gasket that I'm going to use in between the solenoid and the solenoid base. Let's get this guy on the motor and drop the cams in. So here it is in the engine right here. This guy is very important. If you do not have this, your VTEC will not work. Your cylinder head will not have adequate oil pressure to actuate the VTEC. Ask Dante, Mr. VTEC crack, all about that one. Anyways, I'm going to make sure I put this O-ring around it. It'll be good to put the cam caps on. So here's the O-ring sitting around the dowel pin. I just used a little bit of silicone grease to lubricate it. Next, I'm going to grab all my cam caps right here and just set them over the top, and then set the rails over the top of those. And then I will figure out which bolts go where. Some bolts are different. Ended up having to buy these guys because the head had some stupid aftermarket valve cover studs on it when I bought it, like these, and we're going to be replacing those with the OEM hardware. On these front and rear cam caps, you need to be very careful. Put a little bit of RTV right here and right here. I'll show you on the head once I get the RTV installed, but that'll prevent leaks from the cam caps. Just the absolute tiniest amount. So here, 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 and then these two. This is where I put the RTV. I got this cool little blocks billet. I guess it's called a cam plug. I don't know. See if it leaks or not. It is triple O-ring. I put a little RTV on it just because I don't quite trust it. But I'm going to drop the front and rear cam caps on, and I'm going to start hand threading the bolts in with the rails. Okay, so I got the rails on. All the bolts are dropped in and started. I'm just going to start slowly tightening the bolts from the cylinder 1 over to cylinder 4 lightly. I'm not sure if I have the socket to get these guys tight, but these ones are sitting closer, so I'm just going to kind of work my way across. I'm not torquing them to spec yet. I'm going to tighten these guys down last, and I'm going to get out the spec sheet and torque these guys down. I got all the cam cap bolts torqued. Everything went great, actually. I was a little nervous torquing these 10s on the end. It's always kind of weird torquing a small fastener with a long torque wrench like that, but we're all set. Next step is I'm going to pop the cam seals in and the cam gears on. Now I'm going to remove these two nasty little things here while I'm at it. So I ended up getting the wrong cam seals from Rock Auto. Surprise, surprise, right? But in the meantime, I'm going to get this VTEC solenoid gasket swapped out, this thing cleaned up. It's pretty nasty, and I'll get it thrown on the motor. So after running around all over the place today, I was able to find some Velcro cam seals. This is the part number right here. I got a 1 1/4 inch socket to knock them in the motor. Also picked up a thermostat and a gasket, so I'm going to throw that guy on too. Here are the cam seals installed in the engine, as well as the thermostat and thermostat housing. I'm going to get all my timing covers out and show you what my plan is for those. So here is the inner timing cover. This is off of a 96 GSR. This is an OB2 B series lower cover. They're all the same. This is the upper outer timing cover off of a 96 GSR. And I have the here are the two rubber grommets that go around the motor mount right here. We'll see if this fits. A lot of people don't run an upper timing cover when they do an LS VTEC. I definitely want to run one, but if it doesn't fit, then I guess I'll have to run something else. So I had to clearance the timing cover quite a bit. I cut a little notch here, ground it flat, but it doesn't look great, but it fits well. If everything lines up, we'll see if all the other covers will line up with it, but this is the first step. I'm gonna throw some bolts in it just to hold it in place, and I'll get the cam gears on and torque them down. Okay, so this is gonna be super random in the middle of the video, but it's been quite a while since I've filmed, and I actually ended up moving halfway through filming this video. We're gonna go over the new garage space really quick, and then we're gonna get back to working on the motor. So I ended up moving into Bellevue with a coworker of mine, and I have this pretty small but really nice garage space available to me. Same stuff that I had in the last garage, just a little bit more organized. I think it's going to be a lot more efficient, and I like the setup a lot better. Off to the left here we got tire rack, holding the snow tires for the fit, just a couple random spares. The whiteboard I'm probably going to use for video stuff. Got some parts storage going on over here. A couple sway bars I'm trying to sell. Tow hitch for a fit. A lot of the parts for this engine are hanging out on this shelf. Oil stuff, garbage can, little Mugen rep wing for the fit. Got the engine chilling right here next to the workbench that I just built yesterday. Got a organizer for bolts, TV in the garage, shout out Young Static, toolbox, and then just more parts storage, and a couple banners on the wall. Nothing crazy. This is probably like maybe 12, 13 feet by like 20 something feet. Nothing crazy, but we're gonna make it work. Got a couple parts for the motor to get the timing covers on it and some PCV stuff. We're gonna get right into that. So currently I have this timing cover all clearanced nicely to fit on this non-VTEC block. However, this hole right here does not have too many threads left in it, and that's what we're gonna fix today. I ended up picking up this helicoil kit off Amazon. It was like 13 bucks. Definitely a way better deal than a lot of the stuff that you can get at the parts store. Those are like 40 bucks, sometimes even 50 for certain thread pitches. But we're gonna drill this hole out with this drill bit, tap it, and then throw a helicoil in this guy, and hopefully that should fix our thread issue. So I'm gonna get right to that and get the timing cover mounted. So I don't have a tap wrench, so I'm gonna use a pair of vice grips. I know, kind of ghetto, but it should work no problem. I'm gonna run this tap through this hole and get the helicoil installed in there. Next, I'm going to thread this little guy in using this tool, and then we're going to punch the little end piece out. We should be all set. Use this little tool to try and poke the end of the helicoil off, like that. Now we got to figure out how to get it out of there. So here it is installed in the block. Not sure how well you can see that, but I think we should be all set. I'm going to get this timing cover screwed in and see if we can get the rest of them on there. Alright, success. Helicoil worked. This timing cover is mounted up securely. I'm going to put the cam gears on next, and then I'm going to see if I can get the lower stuff to fit. I just got the cam gears installed, and I torqued them using this holding tool. This thing's pretty nice. It was like 15 bucks on eBay or something like that. Only works on VTEC heads, however. I've tried to use this on a non-VTEC head. The cams are spaced farther apart, so it will not work. But this is able to hold it enough that I could torque them to 41 foot-pounds as per the manual. Next, I'm going to move on to installing the lower cover just as a test fit, and then the upper cover in the front. Okay, so it looks like everything fits pretty good. I can't get this guy to bolt down because I think I need to get longer bolts to go through here. I'm not sure if there's a difference. I'm going to have to hop on the computer and do a little bit of research. But the lower cover bolts up. That's the most important cover. I definitely want to run an upper cover, but if I can't, I may not. Other than that, I think the next step is going to be to put the timing belt on and get this thing sealed up, at least on the lower half. This is a Gates T247. This is a GSR timing belt. Making sure that we have GSR water pump as well, otherwise this will not work. The GSR water pump is slightly larger. I'm going to get this timing belt on. It's going to be super easy with this cam holding tool. I have the crank set at TDC. We should be good to throw it on. Alright, I just got the timing belt all installed. I torqued this tensioner bolt to 40 foot-pounds as per the manual. Everything looks good. The timing belt tension feels great. Nothing weird when I spin the motor over. Everything feels normal. So next step is I'm going to put the front cover on down here for good. And once I get some bolts for the top cover, we'll be all set. Here is the timing side progress so far. Got the cover on, a new little rubber gasket. I have them for the top as well. I think it's super sweet that this kind of stuff's still available. Next we're going to move on to the PCV system, and I'll show you what I have for that. So here's all the stuff that I have for the PCV system on this thing. This is what's known as a PCV black box. I highly recommend you run with these guys if you're not running a big catch can on these engines. They definitely like to smoke if you don't have adequate PCV ventilation. This is a old PCV box that I cleaned up in the ultrasonic tank. I'm going to mount it to the block with this guy. These are the two grommets, the two hoses coming out of the top. This is the O-ring to mount it to the block. This is one of the hoses coming from the block to the PCV box. And this is the little barb fittings that sit inside the PCV box and go to the hoses. These things almost always break when you try and remove them, so I recommend getting new ones. This is the part number. You need the grommets to reinstall them as well. I'm going to use a bunch of silicone lube on all the connections, and it might be a little bit overkill, but I'm going to use some fuel injection clamps to screw the hoses down. So here's the PCV box as far as I can get it installed today with the parts that I have. It mounts up to the block right here. This is where oil vapor comes out of the block and is caught into the catch can. This port runs up here to the PCV valve. Still need to source a hose for that one. They are kind of hard to get, but I'll get my hands on one soon. The oil is separated from oil vapor to solid oil, and the oil drains back in the block right here. This is definitely really important to keep on your B-Series. If you have a more higher horsepower application, you can usually run a big standalone catch can, and that'll do the job. So here's how far I've made it so far with this engine. Getting very close. I think the next thing to do, finish up the PCV system, knock the cooling system out, at least the stuff that's on the motor, put a valve cover on it. I'm still deciding what I should do about color for the valve cover. I guess it's not a huge deal. Fuel lines, fuel injectors, and we should be good to go. Not sure if I'm going to buy a new throttle body or use the one that I have already. Works fine, but we'll see. That's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate all you guys' support. Thanks for bearing with me through the move. Lack of engine build content, but not that big of a deal, I'm sure. Gonna have this video up soon, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.